Have you ever watched a teammate make mistake after mistake, lose the ball, misplace passes, and still somehow stay in the starting lineup? Meanwhile, you're sitting on the bench thinking, I'm better than him. Maybe you're faster. Maybe you're more technical. Maybe you dominate in training. Yet when match day arrives, the coach picks him. Again. And the worst part? Nobody explains why. So you start assuming it's favoritism, politics, bias. Maybe the coach just doesn't like you. But what if the real reason is something most players never see? What if the player getting picked isn't actually better? He's just easier to trust. And in football, trust often beats talent. That's the painful truth most players spend years misunderstanding. Because coaches aren't trying to choose the most talented player. They're trying to choose the player who gives them the highest chance of winning. Those are not always the same thing. And once you understand the difference, everything changes. The biggest lie talented players tell themselves. Most players judge themselves using highlights. Coaches judge players using risk. That's the disconnect. You remember the amazing dribble, the perfect through ball, the nutmeg in training, the moments that prove your ability. Your coach notices those too. But he's also noticing something else. What happens after the mistake? What happens when you're under pressure? What happens when the game gets ugly? Football isn't played through isolated moments. It's played through hundreds of decisions. And coaches are constantly asking one question. What happens if I put this player on the field for 90 minutes? Not 5 minutes. Not one highlight. 90 minutes. The answer often determines who starts. Because a player can be incredibly talented while also being incredibly unpredictable. And unpredictability scares coaches, especially in competitive matches. A coach would often rather have a player who consistently performs at 7 out of 10 than one who alternates between 10 out of 10 and 3 out of 10. Talent creates excitement. Reliability creates trust. And trust creates playing time. Lesson 1. Coaches trust predictable players. Here's something that frustrates young players. The player who always makes the simple pass often gets picked ahead of the player capable of making the spectacular one. Why? Because coaches need certainty. Imagine two midfielders. Player A can play unbelievable killer passes, but he also gives the ball away 10 times per game. Player B rarely creates magical moments, but he almost never loses possession. Over an entire season, who feels safer? Who helps the team maintain structure? Who reduces unnecessary chaos? Usually player B, because coaches are managing entire teams, not individual highlights. Every unnecessary turnover can lead to a counterattack. Every risky decision can expose teammates. Every moment of poor discipline can affect the whole system. This is why some technically gifted players struggle to earn trust. They think football is about showing everything they can do. Coaches often care more about knowing exactly what you're going to do. Not because they're boring, because predictable players make teams function. The lesson? Stop trying to impress on every touch. Start proving you can make good decisions repeatedly. Lesson 2. Your body language might be destroying your reputation. Here's a hidden factor almost nobody talks about. Coaches don't just evaluate performance. They evaluate emotional stability. Watch what happens after mistakes. Some players immediately drop their heads. Some stop tracking back. Some blame teammates. Some visibly lose confidence. Others react completely differently. They sprint back. They stay engaged. They demand the ball again. They keep communicating. Now imagine you're a coach. Which player feels safer to trust? The talented player whose confidence disappears after one mistake? Or the player who remains emotionally stable no matter what happens? Football is chaotic. Mistakes are guaranteed. Coaches know that. What they don't know is how every player will respond. That's why emotional control becomes a form of trust. The player who remains composed under pressure becomes easier to select. Not because he's the most talented, because he's the least likely to emotionally collapse when things go wrong. Many players unknowingly build negative reputations through body language, not through performance, through reactions. Every time you complain, every time you sulk, every time your effort drops after losing possession, you're teaching your coach something. You're teaching him that your performance depends on your mood. That's dangerous. And coaches avoid dangerous. Lesson 3. Coaches trust players who make teammates better. This is one of the biggest reasons average players sometimes beat talented players for minutes. Football isn't an individual sport. Coaches notice how you affect everyone around you. Do defenders trust you to track runners? Do midfielders trust your positioning? Do teammates know where you'll be? Can they predict your movement? Do you communicate? Do you support others when things go wrong? Many talented players accidentally make life harder for teammates. They freelance, ignore tactical instructions, abandon defensive responsibilities, chase the ball everywhere, take unnecessary risks, then wonder why they aren't starting. Meanwhile, another player with less natural ability follows the game plan perfectly. He covers space, supports teammates, maintains shape, makes the right run, tracks back, communicates constantly. The coach sees a player making 10 other players better. That creates enormous value. Here's the reality. Coaches aren't selecting individual footballers. They're building systems. And players who strengthen the system become incredibly valuable, even when they aren't the most gifted players technically. Lesson 4. Training performance isn't match trust. This one hurts, because many players genuinely are outstanding in training. Then they don't understand why it never translates into minutes. Here's why. Training and matches test different things. Training often rewards freedom. Matches reward responsibility. In training, you might attempt difficult skills. Take risks. Play without fear. In matches, coaches need evidence that you'll make smart decisions when pressure becomes real, when the crowd is loud, when the score matters, when fatigue kicks in, when one mistake can change the result. Many players look amazing when consequences are low. Few maintain the same quality when consequences are high. Coaches know this. That's why trust isn't built through isolated moments. It's built through accumulated evidence. Every training session, every substitute appearance, every defensive recovery run, every tactical instruction followed correctly. Trust grows slowly, and most players underestimate how long that process takes. They think one brilliant session should change everything. Coaches are looking for patterns, not flashes. Patterns. The faster you understand that, the faster you'll start behaving like someone coaches want to trust. Lesson 5. The most trusted players remove problems. Most footballers ask, "How can I show how good I am?" Trusted players ask, "How can I make my coach's job easier?" That mindset changes everything. Think about what keeps coaches awake at night. Defensive mistakes, poor discipline, losing structure, players switching off, avoidable goals. Now think about the players coaches love, the ones who communicate, stay focused, follow instructions, remain disciplined, work hard without being asked. These players remove problems, and people naturally trust those who remove problems. The mistake many ambitious players make is believing they must constantly prove superiority. In reality, coaches often reward dependability first, then talent, because talent without reliability creates uncertainty. Reliability with talent creates starters. This doesn't mean becoming safe or passive. It means earning trust first. Once trust exists, coaches become far more willing to give you freedom. Many players try to skip that stage, and that's exactly why they stay on the bench. So what should you actually do? At your next training session, stop focusing on standing out. Focus on becoming trustworthy. Track your consistency, not your highlights. After every mistake, pay attention to your reaction. Make emotional control part of your game. Become obsessed with tactical discipline. Ask yourself, can my teammates predict my decisions? Can my coach rely on me defensively? Do I solve problems or create them? During matches, notice how often you make life easier for teammates. Because that's what trusted players do. They don't just play well. They increase the reliability of everyone around them. And here's something important. None of this means lowering your ambition. You should still develop your technique, your speed, your finishing, your creativity. But understand where talent fits into the equation. Talent gets attention. Trust gets opportunities. And opportunities are what allow talent to actually matter. The players who stay frustrated for years usually keep asking, "Why doesn't my coach see how talented I am?" The players who eventually break through ask a different question. What would make my coach trust me more? That question changes your focus. It changes your behavior. And eventually, it changes your position in the squad. Because football isn't just a game of ability. It's a game of responsibility. The players coaches trust most aren't always the most gifted. They're the players who consistently prove, "You can count on me." Once a coach truly believes that, everything starts opening up. More minutes, more responsibility, more opportunities, more chances to show what you're capable of. So if you're currently on the bench, don't automatically assume it's a talent problem. It might be a trust problem. And trust is something you can build. Every session, every match, every decision, one reliable action at a time. If you found this valuable, subscribe for more football development videos that help you improve where most players never look. Because sometimes the biggest breakthroughs don't come from becoming more talented. They come from understanding what football actually rewards.